Well, good morning, everybody. I am actually mixing up I just got this in yesterday from Amazon. It's a Buon Nicole mold. Love her molds. I usually order directly from her website, but I see they now have them on Amazon, and I can get them a little bit sooner that way. Usually takes I don't know, about 2 weeks to get them from her website, because they are in China. Or Hong Kong, I'm not really sure exactly where they're located, but they're overseas. But anyway, I am real excited about this snowman, and I am going to make him white. I'm going to take that off. There's a little bit of residue on the outside. And this is Homewares pigments, and I want to make it really white. And then when it comes out, then I'm going to paint the hat and the scarf, the accents on it. Okay, so this looks a little thick to me, so I'm gonna add a little more water. But let me get the white in first. I like it as white as can be. Because I was trying to avoid to have to paint it white. So hopefully this will be white enough. Let me go get a little more water over here. Just a few drops. Put that over there. When I put these colorants in from Homewares, they're really very nice, but you still have to make sure you get them stirred in really good. Or it could come out kind of streaky colored. You don't notice it so much on the white, but you definitely notice it more on the colors. All right, so I think maybe just another drop of water. I don't know if you knew this already, but if you do add a little extra water to it, your chances of getting bubbles are fewer. So, and this is a pretty curvy mold. It doesn't have a lot to it. It's just a hat and a scarf and a face, I think. So I'm gonna pour that in. Can you see okay? Yeah. And I love these molds that have the supports on the side. Got a few, well, almost all my molds from them have that. Some of them have the magnetic ones, but this one didn't. I'm just doing a little pounding first. And because these have the supports on it, you can still stick your hand up under here, because that's where your most bubbles will show up. And these are just little tips that I like to share with you guys. And I'm going to actually stick 2 of my fingers up there along, because my fingers are short. I have short fingers. Maybe because I'm short, right? All right, so, and there's a little spot in here where the snowman goes out. So I am going to pour a little more in, and I'll stick my hand up in there again. And this is where I like to squeeze them as far to the top, you can see that, till it hits every surface in the mold. This is the key to less bubbles. Not trying to sound like a know-it-all. I'm just saying, I've been working with Aqua Cast since I've stocked it in my store. And one of my girlfriends actually had told me about thinning it down for less bubbles quite some time ago. I think Louise Singleton also does it that way. I don't know if I told her or she told me. We're pretty good friends. We chit-chat here and there. Find out what's going on in our lives. She's a very, very sweet girl. If you haven't been to her website, her YouTube channel, it's Louise Singleton. Oh gosh. Well, if you look up Louise Singleton, it will come up. I can't remember if it's Creations or, oh, isn't that terrible? I'm sorry. I'll link it above. Louise Singleton. I have her on Instagram and Facebook, and we send messages back and forth all the time. Louise Singleton Creations? That doesn't sound right to me. And I can't look it up on my phone because I'm recording. So I will definitely link her YouTube channel. She is amazing. I just love her because she is just one creative woman, let me tell you. She always goes outside the box. And she works with all different kinds of mediums. I've given her some of my shell veneers, and she made some very beautiful pieces with the Aqua Cast and the shell veneer. If you look back on her on her YouTube channel, it was a tray, and it was beautiful. And the other item was a candle jar that had the ribs going up the side. And then at the top, she created a border with those veneers, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. See, there's hardly any bubbles, but I do see a few, so you gotta make sure you get them all. And I always run my silicone tool along here. And there's a little spot there and a little spot there. That's where the side of the snowman gets a little bit bigger. We don't want any bubbles in there. I mean, if you get any kind of bubbles on the bottom side of your mold, it really, really doesn't matter too much. You can actually make a very thin paste out of Aqua Cast, and you can just like fill those little tiny holes. It's very easy. I do it all the time if they bother me. If they don't bother me, then, you know, because a lot of times you have to sand the bottom anyway. So, I see something in there. What is that? It looked black. I don't but I think I got it. Got a little bit left in here. I'll just put that in there. I don't think I need it, but see, no more bubbles coming out. Oh, I see some tiny ones, very tiny ones coming out through the sides. See, a couple more came up there. Give it some, you know, this is what I do with my cakes too. When I bake cakes, I slam the pans down, and that keeps you from getting the roundness on top of your cakes. So I decorate cakes too, you know. I've been baking since I was 5. Started out with an easy bake oven, and when the mixes ran out, I had to get creative. So we had cherry trees and plum trees, and so I would make the crust, and then you know, make a plum filling or cherry filling, and just out of creativity, I couldn't cook on the stove, so anyway, that's what I played with. And then I graduated to making, we used to go out in the woods and behind our property, and there was blackberries by the millions, and it was wooded, but we would go back there all dressed up, and of course it's July or June, I think it's July, and hotter than can be, and out there picking blackberries, and to keep you from getting all marred up from the thorns, we would go out with long sleeve shirts, you know, down to here, and pick buckets full of blackberries. So at 8, my parents had gotten divorced, and so we had this babysitter, and she was about, I don't know, 16, 17. Well, she knew how to make pies. So when she knew we were getting all those blackberries, she taught me how to make blackberry pie, which was cool. And then the first actual cookbook I ever got in my life was, do you remember when you could order books from school? And the company was Scholastic Books. Anyway, yeah. They had a book, and it was a Charlie Brown cookbook. And they had a recipe in there, which was for lemon bars. And it was called Lucy's Lemon Bars. And so I made those, and of course my brothers went crazy over them. And I mean, we all loved them, but you had to be sure that my brothers didn't eat them all before you got them, you know. Anyway, so then my mom renamed them as Laura's Lemon Squares. And so then she wouldn't, this is so funny. We had a convent up the street from us, and our pastime, you know, we cut over across the field and would go over to the convent and visit with the sisters, and it just made their day to have company. And so we would make them little objects, you know. We were always artistic, but so I would sew these little, sorry, I got Aqua Cast on my hands, little coin purses, you know, hand stitched, and, you know, drawings and stuff like that. And we used to take them up there, and they had these closets in their room, and they would open up the door. I mean, it was huge, and they'd open up the door, and they would just hang our stuff on the door, or if it was a little purse would lay there on their little nightstand or whatever. It was cute. One of the sisters was Sister Mary. Well, there was two Sister Mary. So this one Sister Mary, she was blind. But she would love when we brought stuff to her, and she would feel it, and then she'd pat us on the head, and she was just so sweet. And then the other Sister Mary that we had a relationship with was Sister Mary Angelo, and she was our piano teacher. And she was a little on the mean side to my siblings, only because my siblings wouldn't really pay attention in taking piano lessons. We all took piano lessons together, and except for my littlest sister, I don't think she did. Just us four older ones. And then, but they didn't take piano serious, and I did. I loved it, and so after that, after we did our little recital and everything, then I continued to take lessons from her. So she really liked me. But anyway, we my mom would invite the neighbors down, and she would make sure I'd made blackberry pie and Laura's lemon squares, and then she'd make me play piano for them. We had a baby grand. Oh, it was a parlor grand. Was it a parlor grand? It was big. It was not the baby. It was a baby grand, but not a big baby grand. Well, no, it wasn't a small baby grand. So I would have to look that up. But it was not one of those elongated grands, but it was in between, and it was a beautiful piano, and the tone on it was so great. Anyway, me and my mom mostly played piano on it. But she'd invite the neighbors over, and I would serve them Laura's lemon squares and blackberry pie, and they would get to listen to me play piano. Funny story. All right, well, I'm going to let this cure, and I will be back. Okay, I just wanted to add one more thing. Yes, this is my kitchen sink, and it's kind of a little messy because I just made coleslaw right before I went down to pour that snowman. But I'm just wanting to show you how I clean up my utensils from pouring Aqua Cast. Now, this was the stir that I used, and I wiped it off with a napkin first, so there's hardly anything really on it. Those colors are from the dyes, you know, they kind of absorb into the silicone. And then this is my container I used. Let me see, can you see in there? There's hardly anything in there. So there'll be some right around the edges here, because I scrape it out first with that spatula, and I get a paper towel and clean out the rest of it. Only because I live in the country and I have a septic, and I keep everything possible out of that septic because I don't want any issues with that. So anyway, it's just something I think everybody should do. Just, you know, it takes just a second to take a paper towel and rub it around and, you know, get as much out as you possibly can. There's very, very little in here. And so right now I'll just go ahead and wash it. You don't need to watch me do that. But I'm just going to wash out what's left over, and it's literally very little. See? All cleaned up. Just like new. I save all my containers. My husband eats a lot of cottage cheese. We also eat a lot of sour cream. It goes into some of my baked goods and so on. And then, of course, I cleaned out my sink. And then here's the coleslaw I made earlier. I'm getting ready to take a bite. Have a good day, guys. Okay, well, I'm back. Let's get this demolded. I always wondered why they call it demolding instead of unmolding. But whatever. I've heard other people say unmolding, and that's what I want to say. But Anyway, well, this is a nice one to demold or unmold. It pulls right down. This is a Buwan Nicole mold. I absolutely love her molds. I love Juilliard's molds and molds and shapes molds. They're very high quality. So yeah, I wanted this to be white so that I didn't have to paint that. And then all I'll have to do is paint the hat and the scarf. But yeah, look, no bubbles. See, it does pay off to squeeze your molds. Not even one back here. Not a one. Hallelujah. It's a candle mold, but I'm gonna use it like for a pencil mold or something. Even, you know, the bottom just needs to be sanded down just a little bit. But yeah, even around those curves, there's no little tiny air bubbles at all. Okay, so I will paint that later. This was the last project I was working on, and then I quit. But I'm going to finish it tomorrow. I'm going to paint a scene on it, and you'll see. And then it'll be done. Still have time to have it for Halloween. All right, so I will be back on tomorrow. Have a great night. It's Friday night, my favorite night of the week. I'm going to my favorite place, and I'm having a big, fat margarita. Have a great day. Bye. Well, good morning, everybody. Actually, it's almost noontime, but it's still before noon. I think it's 11:30, and I just want to show you some of the things I made. You all saw the pumpkin, and then I changed the top to resin. But I had my husband drill holes, and I wasn't sure. That was a little experiment of mine. I asked the owner of Eli Chem if he could drill through this, and we did. I'm going to turn this light off, and hopefully you can see some little holes of light coming out. You see it? It's not perfectly dark in here, so I did take it into my bathroom with no lights on, and it does shine through. So just so you know, you can drill through Aqua Cast. Alright, so I'm going to turn the light off and put this to the side. Then I poured another pumpkin, and I painted in black. So today sometime I'm going to paint a scenery on the pumpkin. I'm not sure if it's going to be Halloween inspired or maybe something else. So, but I'm putting that to the side. This was the haunted house that I did, and this is the ghost right here. So right now, real quickly, I'm just going to paint this ghost in, and make him look like a ghost, you know? And where are my glasses? Ooh, always forget those. And since this is so black, it's probably going to take maybe another coat of white. And move this out of the way. And I'm just going to paint him like he's flying out or something. This is his little arm. Okay, so now I'm gonna paint the snowman with a snowman with black hat. I painted under the brim just before starting this because I don't know, I just had to be focused more on that. I did, I don't know if you can see, you'll see a little bit. It went down into the first, oh, there's a little bug in here, Terry. You see a bug? I don't know what it is, but he's cute. So he needs to go back outside. Don't touch the black paint.
Where?
Here. Oh. That, I don't know what that was, but just saying. It wasn't a moth. It is the season for all the bugs that are outside and trying to stay alive. They always like to come in. Last week, or actually about the last 2 weeks, we've had gnats. And we live near a big lake here. And so anything that's around that lake will make its way here. And then this past week, the flies and the stink bugs. Do you know what a stink bug is? Well, don't step on them because then they stink. I just started seeing those a couple years ago. And believe it or not, there's actually two. One is called the stink bug, and the other one is called the squash bug, and they look almost identical. So if you look those up, or maybe I'll put it at the end of this video, they look identical. And I think they both stink. I don't know. Maybe one doesn't. I'm not sure. But yeah. They usually are around cornfields. And so I've lived out here, how many years now, Terry? Since 2008. So 18 years, I think.
18.
And I just recently, like maybe 4 years ago, maybe. Guess that's not really recently, but saw the stink bug, and I had no idea what it was. The first time I saw one, he was green, and I thought he was a pretty interesting looking bug. So I put it on my Facebook page. Does anybody know what kind of bug this is? And that's when I found out they're called the stink bugs, and not to step on them, but anyway. One year, I like to keep my window open in my bedroom all winter long, but it's only open like an inch because I like fresh air, and I like the crisp air too. I think I sleep better because otherwise I don't use blankets because our bedroom seems to be the warmest room in the house. So anyway, that's why I leave my window open just a little bit. But so they would manage to get in. And if I was watching a little TV, well, those stink bugs will slap up against your TV because they got a hard shell to them. Well, isn't that a fun story, huh? The other day I saw a grasshopper. It didn't look like it. any of the grasshoppers I've ever seen out here. I took a picture of them and I put them on my Facebook, and other people had seen them, but I hadn't, so it wasn't the standard green grasshopper. It was gray with stripes and spots and all kinds of things. Maybe I'll put that on the end of the video too. So, okay, so I'm not going to go down inside this. I'm going to leave that just the edge for his hat. I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind later. So now I got to decide if I want to give him a black and white scarf. The female one, I want to give her maybe a red hat, or maybe a black hat with her scarf being this real pretty red I got. I ordered it off of Amazon. So let's see, that's not going to be an easy job. At all. Alright, I gotta think about this. Maybe I need to use my little fine brush. I'll be right back. Okay, so I painted his hat, his face, and his buttons off camera because it was pretty tedious. The scarf is going to be pretty tedious too. I'm just trying to decide which ones I want it to be black. I think it's going to be this one. You gotta be very careful, especially when you've got wet paint on the other pieces. Not to get your hand in it. I got a little bit on my finger in my hand. Okay, one down. And then I'll do the other one in red. There are a few touch-ups I'm going to have to make around his smile. I picked the smallest, most expensive, tiny little brush from Dick Blick's. I love their stuff. They have the most quality of art supplies. So, but it's tricky. I should have used acrylic pens like everybody else does. Anyway, I'm going to do this one next, and it's going to be done in red. I'll be right back. Maybe I'll go ahead and show you how I painted it, or some of it, like I did the other one. All right, see ya.